Welcome to Forum 360. Thank you for joining us on our global outlook with a local view. This is Leslie Unger, your host today. Mark Twain is attributed with saying, "Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." Today is the first of a two-part series on two smaller nonprofits making a big impact. Kindness is a foundation for a nonprofit that we are going to talk with today. This co-founder and now executive director of an organization that was founded to extend kindness in a systematic way to young people who age out of the system. Kindness is a thread that weaves its way through Harmony House. Northeast Ohio is home to thousands of great nonprofits. Some seem to get more attention than others. Today, we are going to talk with an organization doing great work that I became aware of just in the last year. So we welcome our guest today, Karla McDay, Executive Director of Harmony House.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. As an executive coach, I have an exercise that I refer to as the walk across the room exercise. Most of my clients hate it. The goal is to answer a question in 2 sentences. The time that it takes to walk across a room. So my first question to you is to explain your nonprofit's mission in the time it takes to walk across a room.
Our mission is to remove barriers and help young people gain access to housing.
Well done, very, very well done. But let me ask you, you are a fairly new nonprofit.
Yes.
In the world of nonprofits. So what did you either see that other people didn't see, or what became a problem or a challenge that wasn't a problem before?
I think that what I saw was a lack of affordable housing for youth, especially those aging out of foster care. For 18 years, I had history with Children's Services as a manager at Summit County Children's Services. And repeatedly, I would see young people age out of the foster care system and then return again homeless. So that was the need that I think I was able to see.
So explain to us that you know, are perhaps fortunate to not be personally aware, okay, of the foster care system. You know, 18 is a pretty tough age to begin with, and it's tough if you have parents and if you have a family, it's still a tough age. So at 18, they age out and they're just, like a mama bird pushes the babies out of the nest, they're just go?
That is the way that it was within the foster care system. But I think that it's important for you to understand it's not just foster youth. At 18 years ago, we had pretty much 4 tracks that we could follow after high school. You could employ, which just simply meant get a job. You could engage and perhaps enter into a relationship and get married. You could enroll into college, or you could enlist into the military. What I'm finding today for youth, not just foster youth, but all youth, is they almost need a 5th E, which I refer to as an extension, because they oftentimes are not ready to get out and navigate leases and landlords and rent and employment, and they just don't know what it is they want to do yet. So it creates a barrier to stabilization.
Well, even employment, like, can an 18-year-old go and get a job that will pay for housing and pay for a car and pay for expenses? I mean, is that really possible?
Is it really realistic?
Yes.
And what you're talking about is livable wage employment. And livable wage employment, even at about $25 an hour, when you consider the exorbitant cost of rent and the cost of utilities and transportation and healthcare and all the other things that a young person would have to factor in, it is very difficult to establish oneself in this current economy, especially for the first time and especially without support.
Can imagine. That's, you know, one reason I was so impressed with the work that you do and the kind of the void that you fill. But Ohio, as I mentioned in the introduction, is Northeast Ohio especially, is blessed to have many, many great nonprofits doing wonderful work. But what would you say differentiates your nonprofit from the other ones doing good work?
I like to think that it has to do with our ability to really get the services directly to the people. We're not a large nonprofit, and what I found in working in government systems is oftentimes you have to deal with the bureaucracy, you have to deal with the red tape and the paperwork. We are skilled at finding a way to locate the housing and match the individuals with the housing. So in some ways we're able to circumvent some of the things that traditionally bog down larger systems.
Now, you spent, was it 18 years in? Okay, so I'm a big believer that experience and expertise is valuable.
It is.
You know, I'm not a fan of people thinking I can just run for Senate or run for president without experience. I think you just learn things along the way, but would you say that your experience kind of on the other side or a different side has been helpful to you in your role now?
Absolutely, Leslie. And you know what? Some of it is life experience and lived experience. I had a very difficult time in that age of 18 to 24. I was a first-time college student. I left home. I went to the University of Cincinnati. I was overwhelmed with the environment, the people, the opportunities. And if there was something to get into that probably wasn't positive, I'd find my way there. The difference between myself and the youth we serve today is I had a safety net all along, every time. It was fail-proof. My parents have been married 61 years. So I knew that there was always a place to sort of land, but not for these youth. They had a very difficult time, and often it wasn't their fault. Many times it's a result of poor parenting, poor planning, whatever it is, the circumstances, poverty, oppression, and the things that really do exist in our society. So I wanted to be someone who could kind of advocate for that population.
So you meet them at 18 years old, roughly?
Always 18.
18, okay. So how do they, the things that you just mentioned, you know, the challenges, many of them not their fault, right? Who they were, what family they were born into,
That's
who they
right.
have as parents. When you meet them at 18, how do they still remain hopeful? And how have they not, you know, by 18 become cynical or have lost hope?
I think that's because they are very resilient. This population is a resilient group of youth right now. They have already been through so much. They've already had so many challenges that oftentimes 18 looks like the new horizon. It looks like a new place to go. And they can now leave some of the trauma in the past. They can leave some of the negative experiences in the past.
Now, I'm passionate about animals. Okay, animals are my thing. I get literature from every animal organization known to mankind. But if somebody told me that I had to go out and raise money for an organization that I was passionate about, I don't think I could. I think having to raise money is very different than being passionate about your work and being good at your work. So what is the special skill, like, to get donors to help financially?
That's a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked me that. I don't like raising money. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do. I think that when you do the work and you are able to put in the sacrifices that are necessary, and then you end up with a product that people can see and attest to, at that point people will start to pour in. So I am never in search of money. I'm never in search of money. I'm in search of completing the mission. And when I do the mission, the money will follow.
And so completing the mission to you means what?
Assisting young people in navigating the barriers and navigating the challenges to getting permanent housing.
Then that's endless, isn't it?
It could be, yes.
I mean, do you ever go home and go, you know, every possible 18-year-old in...
No.
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 So
there's plenty of work to do.
So how do you stay hopeful?
I think with each success and each time you're able to help a young person and you know the next one is behind them, you just get motivated. So I'm hopeful because I'm motivated. In fact, I think I get motivated because I know there are more. And if there are more people we can help, and helping is what I want to do, then it sounds like the harvest is plentiful.
So can you take from that harvest, okay, one flower, sunflower, pumpkin, one whatever in your harvest, and tell us about one individual?
There are so many, first of all, I'd like to say that, but there are many success stories. Right now, one that comes to mind is a young lady who came into our program, and she lost her mother. As a result of the death of her mother and not having a relationship with her father, she found herself living with siblings. That didn't work out. Eventually, she was able to come into one of our emergency shelters. So here's the progression. Emergency shelters are where you come when you call 211 in our community.
Okay, so wait a minute. You say that like everyone knows 211?
Okay.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Right.
So what is 211 and why would I call it?
Okay, 211 is a resource line, if you will, for Summit County. And it is the phone number where you call if you're in need. You could be in need of utility assistance, you could be in need of housing, you could be in need of childcare. 211 is sort of this resource bank. And what happens when people call there, they run something called centralized intake. So once you say my need is housing, they direct you to centralized intake. Centralized intake, if you can envision it, is this place where all of the homeless calls are fielded and their people are then directed to the appropriate shelter for them. We have DV shelters in this county. We have family shelters in this county. We have single young adult shelters like ours in this county. So she called that resource bank. They directed her to us, and we were able to put her into one of our shared living houses, which is an emergency shelter. And she was able to progress through that program into the next phase, which is transitional housing, where she actually got an apartment. So we were able to assist with federal funds to help her get established in her own apartment for up to 24 months, at which point we're hoping that she moves out of our assisted apartment living into her own apartment, and she recently did. So now she has her own stable housing and she has employment. If you ask me what are successes, stable housing and employment. We love to make sure you have health care and mental health care intact too prior to leaving, because that's important.
Today we are talking with Karla McDay, Executive Director of Harmony House, about how their mission and their organization and kindness helps 18-year-olds as they age out of what we call the system. Sometimes I think we just get paralyzed with sad stories and bad news. One day I happened to be talking to one of your supporters, Teresa Carter, and she had been painting a curb or something outside of the house, and so I know that there are different things people can do, but when we get paralyzed and think there's so much, there's so many that need help, there's so much that needs to be done, what are some things that people can do?
People can reach out to whatever it is that they find their passion. For you, it might be animals. For other people, it could be helping young people. You should reach out and see what agencies need and what you can lend. And it's sort of where your skills lie and the needs of that agency intersect is where you and how you can help. It may be financial, if that is something that's a resource you're blessed to have. It may be that you want to come and volunteer, but you should always reach out because there's always something to do, especially now we're approaching the holidays. So as we approach the holidays, we try to make it pleasant, for every person who's a participant in our program. And that means that just like us, they want to have experiences and they want to be able to participate in a meal and spend time with their friends and have gifts. And so we try to make all of that happen for them. Now,
with your base of 18-year-olds, what statistically, are there more young men, more young women? Not that there are more that need you, but do you find that one gender over the other asks for help more?
We probably have more young women, believe it or not. There's not a lot of resources for we service single adults 18 to roughly 24 years old. there's not a lot of resources for young single adults. So especially young women who don't have children, we see a lot of young women come through, but young men too. So I'd say it's probably 60-40, with more being women than men.
Now, you're a woman leading a nonprofit. I realize that no generalizations are completely true, but sometimes it seems to me as an executive coach that if I look at things from the outside, that the nonprofit world is more open to women in leadership roles, perhaps, than the for-profit world. Your perspective?
I think that that is probably accurate, but the only reason I say that is because of my lived experience. I am a social worker. So in the field of social work, it is dominated by women. And so in my experience, the nonprofit leaders that I probably have seen, because they have all been in the social service realm, have been more women than men. But in other nonprofit arenas, I don't know.
Now, you were there when your organization started because you were one that started it. As you look back, what do you wish you would have known then? That you
Everything.
know now?
Everything. Oh, you know that lady in the commercial who says, I started a kayak business because I wanted to be by the ocean. I started a nonprofit because I wanted to help people. But now what I find is that there are spreadsheets and there's accounting and there are all these other things that you're responsible for. So the micro ability to touch clients individually and spend time with them and know them, I miss that. I really do, because now you have to lead an organization, and it's cool being a leader, right? It's okay, but it is so much more rewarding when I have opportunities to spend time with clients.
I understand that. You know, I worked with a woman that became a school superintendent, and she missed kids.
Right.
So we had to actually have her schedule some time, which isn't the same because they're not your kid. You're not seeing them on a regular basis, but had to actually schedule time as a school superintendent to see kids because you could go weeks, basically, right? Without seeing the ones that you are working for and working to help. What is something that would surprise us about your work, whether it's your work or the 18-year-olds or the volunteers that help? What is something that would surprise us?
A lot of people are surprised by the fact that sometimes, as with everyone, I guess, or with anything, there are youth that we encounter that really just have a lack of motivation. And when we encounter youth who have a lack of motivation, we have to do what we call complement their efforts. So whatever effort you put into making your future brighter, into getting your housing, into getting gainful employment, we complement that. But when you're not doing anything, we complement that as well. And so sometimes there are youth who indeed, I'd say maybe if you look at the 80-20 rule, probably about 20% sometimes, who just don't have the motivation or the desire to really see a brighter future for themselves.
Is there anything that if your magic wand worked and you could wave it over public education, is there anything that you can identify that public education could add to their curriculum that would help students at 18?
I think that's an excellent question. I think they probably need a lot more life skill development. Remember back in the days when we had actual home ec? Remember
I do,
when you
because
had to...
I put 2 cups of salt in the brownies instead of 2 cups of sugar. So
You did.
I did.
And you never forgot. If they had real life experiences, driving classes and budgeting classes, I think that would help. I also really feel like students need, especially African American students, they really need some true history. They need to understand who they are. I feel like that would build their self-esteem. I feel like it would really help enhance the outlook and the perspective. I think that when people don't really know who they are, they don't know how to progress. They don't know what to do.
What do you do to stay inspired?
I probably pray and read to try to stay inspired. I don't know. It gets rough sometimes. It really does.
I'm sure that it does.
So that is a very good question, because now you're really giving me something to think about. But I try to pray and I try to read, and I don't know what else.
Well, you keep going. You go back the next day, right?
Yeah, I keep going back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Woody Allen, of all people, who I really hate to give him credit in a quote. You know,
Okay.
he's not one of my favorite people, but you know, he said, you know, success is 90% showing up and just keep going back, right, the next day. And
It is.
yeah. So last year, or June, July, whatever, I went to your gala. What was the title of it?
Summer Soul Fusion.
Summer Soul Fusion. You don't know how I had anxiety over what was the dress for Summer Soul Fusion. Okay, I take this very seriously, okay? I think that sometimes people don't realize that one of the reasons you have, or nonprofits have some kind of an event, and many have a signature event, is to raise money, right? I mean, it's pretty and it's fun, but it's to raise money. Is this an event that you have regularly, and what does it do for you?
Annually, we have a Summer Soul Fusion. You came to the one that was last August, and what happens is we are able to bring the community together. It is vibrant because you were there. It's colorful. It is live entertainment. It's an evening out. There are auction baskets. And what it does is it helps to spread the word about our mission. Remember, it's always mission and always storytelling. And of course, the end goal is to raise some money, and we do. So it helps us to kind of get the word out about what it is we do, and it helps us to raise money as well. But that is primarily what it does. It is just, and it's fun. It is just fun. If you have never been, you have to bring someone else. You have to
well,
come.
you know, I think that's an important point, because I know when I work with someone who is, say, looking for a job, and I'm working with them on, you know, interview skills, and I always tell them that statistically, your next job is not going to come from monster.com or something online. It's going to come from someone that you know.
That's right.
And the way I tie this in is that someone that I know sends me an invitation to it. I come and I bring someone else with me who was not aware of the organization at all. So now you have two people that now know about it that did not know about it. And yes, the internet is great and getting things out there, and you know, being on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever is all. But my point is, you can't overlook that personal, the personal invitation, and that personal touch of getting someone there, I think is hugely important. And so that's one of the reasons you do the event.
It is. And then the opportunity to like meet you and not know what other opportunities that'll lead to, because I got to meet some of your friends, and then we find out today that we have friends in common. So when people can get the word out, especially good people who are interested in really helping and pouring back into the community, such as yourself, that is so important. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Now, I'm going to ask you for some questions that are a little bit less about your nonprofit, but I always like people to get to know a little bit the guests that we have here. So I'm going to ask you, what do you consider your most valuable piece of technology?
My most valuable piece of technology? My car.
Which, okay, that definitely
It
counts.
is. I'm sorry.
Do you know,
is a car not technology? Because
Yes.
I'm no techie. But
Well, I had a discussion about, I was asked my favorite appliance, and I said my iron to iron my hair, and they said that's not an appliance, and I said, well, anything you plug in to me is an appliance, right? Doesn't have to cook, it's an appliance. So the car is now really technology. So
it's a
I
computer
take that
to
answer.
me, and it takes
On
me where I
wheels.
need to go.
It is a computer on wheels. Is there a piece of archaic technology that you still use or would like to? Because I would still like to use my old day timer. I don't,
really?
but I would like to. Is there any piece of technology you would like to still use?
I have to think about that one for a minute. I don't think so. I don't really embrace it that well. Maybe I'd like a pager so people can quit calling me all the time. I don't know.
As a fan of Northeast Ohio, I'm a fan of Northeast Ohio. What is your favorite season?
Fall.
Because?
Because it's just not cold yet, and it's not too warm yet, and my birthday's in the fall, and I just love it. It's just beautiful.
Is there a favorite destination that you have either in Ohio or outside of Ohio that you like to go to?
Let me think about that for a minute. I have one I go to all the time, which is the beach in South Carolina. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but that's where I end up frequently.
Okay.
So I must like it a little bit, huh?
You must, yes. Yes. Is there a hidden jewel in Ohio that you like that perhaps a lot of people don't know about, whether it's a park or a restaurant or a little dive or a jazz club or anything? Is there a hidden jewel?
I have a couple hidden jewels.
Okay.
I like the Main Street Saloon. I really do. I like Frank's Place, so I do like dives a little bit. I think in terms of parks and recreation, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park is beautiful, and I really enjoy that as well.
Yes, we are lucky to have it. And if you had to answer in one word or one sentence, what gives you hope, what would that be?
God.
You did that pretty good in one word. I got to tell you, that was pretty good.
That's it. That's all I got.
And do you need any more?
That's right.
If you have God, do you need any more?
Not really.
Anne Frank wrote in her famous diary that you can always, always give something, even if it is only kindness. Our guest today shared with us what kindness looks like to those aging out of the system at the same time that their life is actually just starting. Harmony House, if you want to look it up, I'm Leslie Unger. Thank you to Karla McDay from Harmony House for joining us today on Forum 360 for a global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.